Well, good morning. I'm Steve Thompson, president of Emery Thompson Machinery, and this is our August 2016 Make It Fresh. Jeff Markow, my partner in crime and ice cream maker par excellence, is here today.
Good morning.
And we're going to try to answer your questions and make some good ice creams. Now, you had a big class 2 days prior to this.
Yes, most of these people.
And,
well, half of these people.
Yeah, and did they pass?
They passed. They worked very hard, and it was a great class.
So did they get a hearty handshake and a pat on the back, or something else?
Well, they get more than that.
Okay, let's see.
Since they worked so hard.
You have to come in the range of that camera, so show it to that camera.
Okay. Brandy, come on up.
All right, very good. Now, if you don't want to be on camera, broadcast to 172 countries, Jeff will give it to you.
Stuart? Min?
Jeff's class is 2 days of working in his ice cream parlor, teaching people how to make ice cream. They work on the tables, they do absolutely everything, and it happens 2 days just before this class. So it's a real hands-on education.
Thank you.
And Elizabeth.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You earned it.
Thank you.
So today we're going to start off by making breakfast. We're going to have grape nuts ice cream with golden raisins in it. This is very popular in New England. And so I've got my grape nuts, my golden raisins. Let me show you a picture of them. I've been soaking them in the ice cream blend, which is milk, cream, sugar, skim milk. And they've been sitting for 24 hours in there, and the raisins will actually absorb the ice cream blend and pump up, and it gives it more flavor. In fact, if you're ever making rum raisin ice cream, this is a recipe from my uncle, Emery Thompson Jr. And my uncle used to put golden raisins into a good Prussian rum and let them sit in the refrigerator for 5 days. And the key thing is, as he always said, is you have to check it nightly to see how it's doing. And hopefully there'll be something left to put in the machine after 5 days. But and why the golden raisins and not the dark ones, I have no idea. It's one of those things that just goes down in history as the way that you do it. Just like another ingredient I'm going to use in this formula, which is sea salt. I was under the impression until last week that when you see salt in a recipe, it was really just a throwback to olden days. Because before my grandfather, Emery Thompson, invented the modern day batch freezer 111 years ago, ice cream was made on this, a rock, salt, and ice machine. You had an inner cylinder, the outer cylinder, and in between the two you had ice and rock salt. The rock salt, like you put down on the roads in the wintertime, reduces the temperature of the ice so you get colder. And so all these old-fashioned recipes would call for a pinch of salt in the ice cream. And I thought it was just because, you know, it happens that a little bit of the rock salt gets into the ice cream, so it works its way into the formula. Well, I was talking to a very fascinating chef. He was fascinating because he could explain things so easily, which is not what chefs usually do. And he was explaining to me that the salt in many recipes will actually, just a little pinch of salt, will enhance the flavor of whatever you're making. So it can be an important part. I'm going to look into that more because I've never used salt before, but this recipe did, which I pulled off the internet, did call for sea salt. We gave these out already?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Never been made before here.
So I've got 2 quarts of the mix or blend. Here comes the tech department again. Keep rolling. Okay, keep rolling. I've got 2 quarts of the ice cream blend and the raisins that have been sitting in it for 24 hours. And so I'm going to first I'm going to sanitize the machine, and then I'm going to put other stuff in. Now this is the CB350 countertop batch freezer, and this makes 6 quarts at a time. We have made and put over 4,000 businesses into business since this came out just a few years ago. It's the #1 selling batch freezer in the world. Very simple, very rugged, and made of all the same designs as our bigger machines. That's the dasher for it. Other people call it beater, and it's the same concept as that rock salt and ice. It's spinning around in there, scraping the ice cream off the walls. This one is, all my dashers are spring loaded, so that where we used to have to change or sharpen the blades once a year and replace them every 2 or 3 years, these blades now with spring loaded will go about 6 years without having to do anything to them. Because as you think about it, with the springs, once you put it into the machine, they're pushing against the walls of the freezing chambers, scraping the ice cream or ices or gelato off the walls. So whether the blade is 4 years and 10 months old or 1 day old, they're going to do the exact same job. All my machines are the same design. Here's the world's largest production batch freezer. And that's the beater that goes into it. This weighs about 25, 30 pounds. And it's the exact same design. So no matter what size you buy, it's going to be the same machine. So we want to sanitize the machine before we make any ice cream. By that, we want to kill off any bacteria that might have grown in the machine since the last time I used it. And all sanitizers are chlorine-based, so we're just going to put in a chlorine sanitizer. I like to drop a lot of stuff. And first I'm going to put a little lubricant on the drive shaft. This is going to be running inside another piece inside the machine, so we want to just lubricate it. We sell this, and other people sell it on the internet. It's called Stera Sheen, S-T-E-R-A-S-H-E-E-N. It's available a lot of places. It's, don't tell them, but it's basically glorified Vaseline. But the health department comes in and they see that you're using a jar of Vaseline and that you're dipping your finger into it, and they just totally freak out. They say, oh, you're contaminating the jar every time you put your finger in it. I go, well, Jeff and our mothers used it, and it didn't do any harm to us other than...
Yeah, but you drank from a garden hose when you were...
I did drink from a garden hose, too. I was really bad. Just a wild kid. So they see the Sterasheen name, and they just say, oh, this is great. We know it's pure. It's good to go. And so that's why you use it instead of Vaseline. So this just slides into the machine, and I rotate it around once to make sure it's all the way in the back, and I stop it at the 6 and 12 position. This door, 2 quarts. I need 2 more. This door is all stainless steel, weighs about 20 pounds, and this is not going to wear out. That's the way we build Emery Thompsons, is everything is to last 45 years or longer. Let me get that O-ring on there. This particular batch freezer is one of the original ones we ever built. We keep updating it with new designs, but I can't even get a new machine out of my own company because they fly out the door too fast. So that just fits on there. The key to an Emery Thompson is everything fits perfectly. You've seen those Italian machines, those Italian Chinese machines with the cam action, it goes over and down. They look really cool and it looks really simple. Guess what? They break in 3 years. So you have to buy a whole new door for several $1,000s made out of plastic. So I don't do that. I stick with the tried and true method on this one of 4 knobs. Jeff's machine is hinged, so it swings open. And then the gasket does all the work. All you do is hand tighten it like a car tire, opposite ends, and just hand tight, not a lot.
Yes, Paul.
The gasket is good for a year or 2 years, or
The gasket around there is good until it stretches out, maybe 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
And I think they cost about $12. And I'm just putting a little smear above the discharge gate, so that when I open and close that, there's a little gasket in there. It's going to pick up the lubricant. And there's a question over there.
Yes, what is the true capacity of like the 6-quart?
The true capacity?
Yeah.
You mean like if I measured it like the Italians? I'll tell you how
the
the
ice cream swells up, so...
This makes 6 quarts of ice cream finished. When you look at any other machine on the market, they will take their dasher, they'll take the beater out, and they'll fill it up with water, and say, okay, we're going to sell this as a 9-quart machine. This is not, it will hold 9 quarts, but it's not a 9-quart batch freezer. It makes 6 quarts. So truth in selling, I sell it for what it actually makes. It makes 6 quarts in about 8 minutes. That's important. I don't like being deceived. Where is my coffee cup? I wanted to show you the deceit. I bought the other day a Yeti coffee mug, and they said, we'll even put the Emery Thompson label on. Everybody was calling up and saying, boy, Steve, you must love that Dunkin' Donuts. You're always drinking the Dunkin' Donuts cup. I hate Dunkin' Donuts. I'm a coffee snob. So I buy this Yeti cup, and I get it, and it holds the coffee. I'm only using it today for a show because it holds the coffee for about 30 seconds, and then it gets cold. It's not a Yeti. It had a picture of the monster, a Yeti, on it. But it wasn't a Yeti cup. It just said the Yeti cup. And I got bamboozled, as they say. So this is all put together. We're going to sanitize it. Have I got sanitizer? Right there. Jeff is. Oh, okay. Now, this is the Sterashine. Now, why am I promoting this? I promote companies. I never, Jeff and I don't take a dime from anybody we promote. Well, no, I won't say it. Just driving a new Corvette. He used to drive a Chevy pickup truck. But we do it because these are things that are important to your business. They work. They're going to be reliable. So that's why I use Sterashine. And the health departments know it. So this is a chlorine-based sanitizer. And if you read and follow the directions, you don't have to rinse afterwards. It's chlorine-based. If you were on a desert island and it was absolutely important that you make ice cream, you could take a gallon of water and a cap, not a cup, but a cap full of Clorox bleach. Gallon of water to a cap full of Clorox bleach and get the same results. But then the health inspector comes in. They see the bottle of Clorox and they freak out. They go, "What are you doing?" And I used to fight the good fight and say, "Well, what do you think I put in my swimming pool? Chlorine." They go, "No, you're going to kill everybody." So I've learned the best way to win the war is not to play the game. And so I use the Sterashine because they recognize it. And let's do that.
Yeah, I did.
You did. Jeff does all this great stuff when I don't see it. Make sure the gate's closed. One day you're going to be pouring product in, and it's going to go all over the floor, and you're going, Emery Thompson, the machine leaks like a sieve. Well, you left the gate open, and I've done that too. You can squeeze these tubs. Malcolm Stogo, a very famous ice cream maker, always gets upset with me because I don't put a catch tub underneath to catch the water. But I like to tell people I only have one working eye, and so if I can pour this in without spilling, you can too. It's not that hard. Now, I'm going to just turn it on to any speed. This is the infinite overrun control, and I'll pick homemade and start. And the health department usually wants you to spin that around for about 60 seconds. Every health department's different. But the second that water hits all the parts in there, everything is sterilized or sanitized. Now, when we make ice cream today, we'll go from here over to the refrigeration and turn on the refrigeration switch, and it'll get instantly cold, and we'll be making ice cream. When we're finished, we'll turn off the refrigeration switch. We don't want it to get any colder, and then we'll bring the product out. It'll be thick, and it'll flow out nice and fast. This is just thin water in here. If I open up this gate right now, the front row here is going to get a jam with a whale. They're going to get a bath. So once you've done that, turn it off and drain it out. Now, I like to keep this water off to the side because anything that's going to come in contact with the ice cream, a spatula, my hands, or anything else, I can just dip it in here and it's instantly sanitized. The barrel on Emery Thompson's is slightly pitched forward. You can't even see it. It's just enough to make sure that everything drains out. Now, the health department says I'm ready to go. I like to do a quick rinse between.
Which totally negates the sanitization.
That's sort of true, except if I was making Italian ice, it would negate the sanitation too, because I'm using tap water.
And you eat it.
So you don't have to do this, but I do. And if you just follow what you're seeing here today, if you do 80%, oh, I spilled. If you do 80% of what I'm doing, you'll be about 90% ahead of all other businesses. Because some places just, they sanitize the machine in May and run until November. And that's, yeah. A friend of mine went into a yogurt shop down in Naples. Man had 6 Taylor soft serve machines, 1 employee running the place, and he said, wow, how do you keep these machines cleaned and sanitized with just 1 employee? He goes, oh, we don't have to clean them, we just pour more mix into them. Day in and day out for months. That's disgusting. Someone said listeria, here we come. I got to comment on that because I got a lot of people around the world thinking I'm an expert, which is not true, and asking about listeria. It just got me so mad when the listeria thing came out, and they had this pretty young reporter standing next to a cow, and she's going, is Bessie killing you? Well, Bessie had nothing to do with the listeria. The equipment they were using had nothing to do with the listeria. The listeria, excuse the language, came from rats and mice pooping in an open bag of Oreo cookies or M&Ms or chocolate chips. It was the manager's fault, the owner's fault, because they didn't seal up their ingredient bags and then put them up on a shelf. The vermin got into it, they did their business as they're eating, and that's where the listeria came from.
Perhaps we should hold that discussion until after we make the ice cream.
It's too late. I did a Donald Trump, I got some stuff got everywhere. Okay, so my golden raisins are in here. And I haven't made this before. Now I'm going to make sure the gate's closed. And I'm going to pour this in. And somewhere are those raisins. I got a feeling they're all going to come as a rush at once. Here they go. Now don't try this with any other machine. You can't do it. You can't put all these ingredients in. Let's turn this on. Pick homemade. Get that started. Okay. My spatula. Now you can either add the raisins right away, or you can do it a few minutes into the batch. So I'm going to put half my raisins in right now, and the other half in about 3 minutes. So now, the recipe also calls for the rest of the mix. Again, this is a blend that came from the dairy. Milk, cream, sugar, and skim milk, just like you would do in the supermarket. Let's see. Yep. And do you have a copy of the phone? Here, did I call for vanilla? Yes. Okay. How much? 2 ounces. No. This is Lockhead vanilla. 2 fold means it's double strength. 1 ounce. 2. That 1.5. 2. And the grape nuts. Turn on the refrigeration. Go out and buy yourself an apple. It's a great stopwatch. And we'll start. What's that? Did it ask you that much? Oh, that's a lot.
That's what the man told me.
Yeah, I'm going to shave a little off that. Well, just made it a little bit. We saved it for your steak. Okay. Now I still have what's in here. I'm going to add
Is that
that.
all the raisins you need?
Yeah, that's it. I think I'll have a little more grape nuts. Sure. Okay. Now, in the real world, what you do is you make a 3x5 file card, and you write down exactly what you did. And like Yeah. Because you might do 2 or 3 batches before you get the one you absolutely love, and then you get this, you know, you're in the headlights looking, you go, what did I put in there? And you can't remember. Was this the one that I added some more, and how much did I actually add instead of breaking Steve's method, just, you know, winging it. Write it down so that when you've got the recipe, you're all set. And then when you get rich and famous and you hire employees to do this, you hand them the file card and you say, this is how I want my ice cream made. I was working with an executive chef once, and you know, he did this for show, but he had to put 1.5 pounds of sugar into the machine, and he didn't use the scale, so he puts in his sugar, and then he holds the bag like this, and he gets this, you know, quizzical look on his face, and he thinks about it, reaches in, goes like that, and then goes perfect, you know, just for show. You know, he was not that good, but it looked like fun. Yeah, we got everything in here, so breakfast is cooking. And we have been, how long? 2 minutes. So I'm going to put the rest of the raisins in. All right, guys, come on down. I have a little more mix in there than I want. I'm going to adjust my recipe. Okay. I'm not the neatest ice cream maker. Now, since it's a horizontal cylinder, everything is going to spread throughout the batch. My grandfather started off with a vertical cylinder. Jack later on, and we had to put up a picture of the original Emery Thompson vertical cylinder. Not a problem. The problem with the vertical cylinder, which the original Emery Thompsons were, was Newton's law. Everything that goes up must come down. So you put your raisins or your nuts or your cookies or bananas in here, and they fall to the bottom third of the can. So you do not have a consistent product. So in 1919, he said, gee, my own machine is primitive. That was 99 years ago. My own machine is primitive. I'm going to turn it sideways so that when I put stuff in, the dasher will spread it back and forth instead of trying to make what's already down here, gravity, push it back up. It just doesn't happen. And these are all just going in. You can put them all in at once, or you can put them in as you're making the product. I've never made this before, so I wanted to try it a couple of different ways. Another way that I make ice cream all the time is I invent it in terms fruit flavor and fruit identity. So if I put all my raisins in at the beginning, they're soft like strawberries. Theoretically, they're going to get ground up like a Cuisinart. As you were blindfolded and tasted it, you'd say, yep, that's raisin ice cream, raisin and nuts. But you look at it and you can't see the raisins. So if it was something important like strawberries and you want to see the strawberries, you put half your strawberries in the machine to get the fruit flavor. The second half of strawberries you add as it's coming out for the identity so that you can see there's strawberries in there. So it works very well. I don't put frivolous things on the machines. I don't have a timer on it because this machine, unlike the Italian European models, which are built to a standard called ETL, which is a series of guidelines. You know, here's how we'd like you to build the machine. Doesn't mean a thing. You don't have to abide by it, but we wish you would do it this way. We have Underwriters Laboratories, the National Sanitation Foundation, and they pull up in their black limousines about once a month. Come storming through the door and scream, it's a rain. Actually, they do come in unannounced. Inspect the whole building, inspect the records. They even check the coils of wire that we buy, the board, the hookup board to see that it says UL. So if I put a timer on this machine, it would probably cost about $400. And if it went bad, like on other companies who put timers on, it would knock out your machine and you'd have to wait middle. We can put parts in here overnight. I use an iPhone because everybody's got one, or a Droid, and you can time it that way. Or you can buy a simple kitchen timer. And the beauty of both of them is they're portable. So although we don't want you leaving the room while this is running, instead of just staring at it, you could be over here getting your next flavors ready and checking it out and see how everything's going. You set the timer for, say, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Timer goes off. You say, oh, okay, time to get back and check it. So I'm going to see where we are. Almost there. Got a few more raisins. Any questions so far? Yes.
Will those raisins go through the holes in the top, in the gardens, which on the current machines as they ship, or do we need to?
I can't talk about the guard because the National Sanitation Foundation says we don't want you sticking your fingers in there, so the guard is designed to block it. I don't know why your home oven gets away without a guard. You know, you should have a huge mesh in front of it so you can't put the pizza in. You might burn yourself. Of course, there was a guy who, his grandchildren were coming, and he put his 357 Magnum in the oven so that they wouldn't find it. And then when they decide to have pizza, all of a sudden, two things happen. The gun starts going off, shooting bullets around the kitchen. He realizes what's going wrong. He opens the oven, grabs it without a mitt, and burns himself. So he got shot and burned himself. Gee, if the two screws that disappeared that hold that. I think I'll use these gelato pans. They're fun. That's looking very good. We'll just give it a little bit extra. Now, vanilla is going to take about 8 minutes. Your first batch of the day might take 1 minute longer. And then if you made a second batch, a third batch, 30 batches, the time will drop by a minute, but it won't keep dropping. So you're going to go from 9 to 8, but you won't go to 7, 6, 5. This is ready. Oh, when you add extra sugar into a product, like the raisins are actually adding sugar, that changes your freezing time. Ice cream is 8 minutes, but Italian ice, which is all sugar, takes about 16 minutes. So we turn off the refrigeration, and here we go. So I've got a 6-liter pan here, and I ran this at the maximum air content. So I had 4 quarts of mix. I had my raisins, I had my grape nuts, so I've got probably in quarts about 7 quarts here. There we go. Look at that. Look at all those pieces. You can't do that on any other machine. You have to add everything as it's coming out. So let's try this. I've never had it, so if you would like to walk up and we'll serve you. I gotta find another.
Can I ask a question while you're serving?
Yes.
So if you were using the 3-gallon tub,
Yeah.
if you were using the 3-gallon tub, when do you put it in the flash freezer?
when you put it in, if you're using 3-gallon tubs, when you put it into the 3-gallon tub?
No, well, so if this makes 6 quarts at a time,
Yes.
that's like half of a 3-gallon tub.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put half of a 3-gallon tub in here, and then I'm gonna put it in the freezer, and I'm gonna make a second tub, a second batch. I'm gonna put it right on top,
Okay, while it's in the freezer.
because the timing is only under 10 minutes.
Okay.
It won't make any difference whatsoever. It varies on what you're making, but about 22. Well, we're good. Okay.
Thank you.
Really good view.
Sophie's engine wrong.
Yeah, then I probably. Might be an idea.
It's all natural.
Everybody, I don't know, everybody wants to put alcohol in all their ice cream.
We thought we were the only ones.
This is how you can eat preserved cereal. Like this, vanilla bean.
Yes.
That's raisin rice. Make it into a milkshake, basically, put it in. That's how-
Oh, yeah?
Which is what we just ran this at full speed.
Okay, stand around, go to bed.
I want to try to use my machine, Steve. My name is Paul, by the way. Hi, I'm glad to be here. I've had something
Good, I'm gonna have.
No, it's like that. I see me very speed control. You should.
Oh, this is good. I surprised myself. It's delicious.
You gotta try it.
Right, Mr. Champion.
I love a little crunch in it.
I like the crunch too. That's great.
It's very good.
This is a winner. All right, I'm gonna get out of the way and let Jeff take over.
This is extra mixture. Was this a full bladder when we started?
No,
I took the raisins one out.
right, but you're only gonna use 10 quarts. Half batch.
Right, 5 quarts.
5 quarts.
So you put this 5 in.
Oh, you can. Isn't there? Well, we got a bag.
Well, we'll measure this. This is just mix, right?
Yeah.
Well, blend.
All right. I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Our machine ready and we're good to go.
You're at the sand.
I have to stand up.
Jeff, it's right there on the floor. Hey, Jack, can you pop down my intercom?
Hold down, Steve.
Hi.
Hi. I get to make 3 flavors today. However, I thought it would be kind of fun if you picked which flavors we make. So I have 3 cards here with 3 different flavors on them. And show of hands, who's won card number 1? Card number 2? Card number 3? Everybody wants card number 3. Okay. We're going to make blueberry cheesecake to
All
start.
right, all right.
They picked the flavor.
Wow, what'd they pick?
Blueberry cheesecake.
I like that.
That sounded way too rehearsed.
I like all your flavors.
Okay, so blueberry cheesecake. Really simple. In this one, we'll learn not only how to make cheesecake ice cream, and then you can flavor it with anything you want, and we'll get to that too. In my store, we make turtle cheesecake, which is caramel and fudge in the cheesecake. You can make strawberry, pine, what kind of cheesecake you want. I picked blueberries because here in Brooksville, it's time of the year for the annual Blueberry Festival. So we have these fresh blueberries. I picked these. So we'll do that. We're also going to introduce a unique item today. So let's, this is the cheesecake. This is Jell-O no-bake cheesecake. And it comes in the store, and in the box, there are 2 packets and a microphone. There are 2 packets in every box. One packet is the cheesecake, and one is the crust. You're getting it. Cool, tough crowd. So what we'll do is we'll start this machine. This is a 12-quart machine, right?
Yep. Yes, 12 quart.
So we're going to use 5 quarts of mix. You don't have this written down, and you certainly don't have it written down. So we'll take 5 quarts of mix. However, we have to blend the cheesecake and crust into the mix. So the way I do it is I'll take probably half. We'll go with 2.5 quarts of mix. And we'll pour it in here. And we'll take we'll take 2 packages. We'll make it rich to start. This afternoon you won't want rich. Now you want rich. So there's the cheesecake. And here's the crust. Graham cracker crust. And we'll use the other box as well.
Jeff, if we wanted to experiment with the cheesecake that was already made.
No tricky questions. We're on.
I understand that. With a cheesecake that's already made, would I use a corresponding size? So if that mix would make 3 pounds of cheesecake,
I mean, if your wife makes a great cheesecake, can you throw that in?
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Crust and all. Same thing with apple pie. Anything. I like real foods instead of bottles and jars and stuff. So that's it. We'll add a little vanilla, but basically that's it. And what do we make cheesecake? So we'll add, I over vanilla, especially when it's free here. So I'll add, well, probably 5 ounces of vanilla because we have 5 quarts of mix. I know we don't have 5 in here yet, but it'll be 5 in there. And our goal is just to blend everything. So that's about 5. And that's about 4. And here's a handy little item that doesn't work. Oh, Tech Squad. You watching Rocky and Bullwinkle?
We're playing cards.
There's no power here. There's no power here. You gave me an extension cord, but there's no, no, just power.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Was the coffee pot smoking? You sure your drill is good?
Hey, hey, don't be questioning my tools here.
Well, let's check your tool.
Let's try it right in the wall. Maybe it's a faulty cord. A faulty cord.
I'll get you a new one, Jeff, sorry.
So what I did was, I used to use Cuisinarts and KitchenAids, but a friend of mine told me to go to Home Depot and buy a paint mixer. And we put the paint mixer in the drill, a nice new one. You were trying to pawn off an old crappy one.
Yeah, you left. Ooh, even more power.
That is more power. Wow, my drill's never been like this. And all we're going to do is, step on my cord.
Sorry.
All we're going to do is mix this up. This is what we have now. It's everything we put in there with a couple of quarts of mix just to get us a base to mix. And then this thing, and that's it. It's a great handy tool. And when you clean up, you sterilize that, you sanitize that just like anything else. So we have, what do we have in here? 2.5 quarts, right? And we need 5, right?
Yes.
Right. Crap.
Yes.
Surprised your breakfast cereal didn't waken them up. Okay, so we need 2 more. 2.5 more. Perfect. And that's it. That's it for this part. So really what we're doing in the machine is making just cheesecake ice cream. The blueberry part we'll get to when that's being made. I'm talking to kindergarten.
Yes.
So this is what it looks like, by the way. It's just everything mixed up. Got it? And in she goes.
So that's just the first 2.5 quarts with the cheesecake mix.
Right?
Okay. So you'll put the blueberries, I guess, in the second 2.5.
Did I not just say to hang on? This is the other 2.5 quarts. And if you put it in this thing, then you get all that stuff, so you don't have to scrape it independently. There's no independent scraping here. No wasted effort. And we'll turn it on so that we're going to mix it thoroughly, but we're not going to put the refrigeration on yet. Hello? And this goes to super premium ice cream. And then we'll pour this in and it'll really blend up pretty good. This is now rotating at 234 RPMs. Much like the Starship Enterprise. Okay, good. Now we can turn it on. And we don't need no timers.
I heard that.
Now to take these fresh picked blueberries, I had to drive here this morning, so I put the fresh picked ones in a container.
Do you want the blueberry fairies to come in and pour it in for you? They're working the phones right now, but I can get them.
There they are, those French baked blueberries. Oh. That's just both things. This is entirely up to you what you flavor your cheesecake with, or how much you put in there.
I'm just checking the speed.
All the guys tell me that. Okay, there they are, those French baked blueberries. Now the question begs itself, can you use French baked blueberries? Depends. If they're really mushy and sweet, you can. If they're tart, it may not be what you want to sell. However, if they're tart, what can we do about that? Add some sugar and mix it up and make a mash out of it, and that'll be fine too. So this is what we have, and let's put it in. You can even see their fresh fish. And I think what we should do, instead of in a cheesecake, you put it on the top, and then every forkful you would get some of that with the cheesecake. But since we can't do that, and you don't want to just serve cheesecake ice cream and put this on top, we're going to make a variant. We're going to make a swirl through the ice cream of it. And that should work out pretty good. Everything goes according to plan. And it's thick, as you can see. So to work with it a little better, I want to thin it out. So we'll add a little mix to it to thin it out. Nice color going in, and a pretty good consistency. As you do it, you'll see if you like it this thick or thinner when you see what we're going to do to it. This looks pretty good. Any questions? Yes. What?
I just want to know, is there anything you can't add to the mix?
What did you say? Speak up.
Is there anything you can't add, since the mix is pasteurized at the dairy, is there anything you can't add, like more eggs or anything later that can get you in trouble with the health department?
Yes and no. If you want to make custard, then you have to add eggs, but the eggs then have to be tempered to get the bacteria out. However, now they make egg yolks in a carton, so you can, and they're pasteurized, so you can add that. But that would give you custard. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just wanted.
$2.34. Super premium ice cream. I'm a super premium ice cream kind of guy.
You're running, yeah, 165 super premium.
165. Let's boost it up.
Oh, what, you want more air?
How about 175?
Okay, we like that. Question? No, you're just scratching it. Okay, well, don't fit in an auction. It doesn't cost you $1,000. Ken, is my mic up? Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, just don't add in the nuts at the bottom.
Oh, no, no.
All right. We have plenty mix.
Okay, okay. A little more.
All right.
You ever see the ice cream in the store? Vanilla fudge is the typical one where there's nice swirls of the fudge and the vanilla. That's what we're gonna do. And that's what you can do.
Check on this one.
It's very good. Very good. That's what I call it. Swirl. Swirl, swirl.
Swirl version, it's all the same thing.
To make the variegated, I have to work under these conditions.
Yeah, we're doing act with the dog. All right, Sammy, come on. Sammy, everybody out.
Normally, I pull my ice cream when it's a little softer.
I'm sorry. Okay, grab her. All right, come on.
All of a sudden, I feel like WCP. I normally pull mine softer, but to make the variegate a little more firm, it makes a nicer variegate in there. I pull it softer so that I get out quicker and more without having to leave it on longer and whatever. I normally pull it right now, but another 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and then I'll pull it. This is so much fun. All of these recipes are in the book that I shamelessly sell and plug here. Okay, shut the refrigeration. Even though it's still cold in there, it's still firming up. And we'll pull it out.
You can turn to the side, Jeff.
Can I turn to the side?
There you go. Yeah, so the camera can see you pull it out.
Homemade ice cream, all of it tends to be bland in color because unless you add color, which we don't do, no. All natural.
We got pretty fancy with that. Took that overrun control.
Yeah, I'm getting the hang of it finally.
So Jeff, you just sped that up to try to get the last bits out? Is that
Yes,
what you
I
did?
sped it up to maximum to get, that's why I pay you to be here and ask those questions.
Just mentioned in your book, how much is your book?
Who said that? You already have one. Well, the book is online, it's $60. However, because it's here and I don't have to deal with shipping and handling, it's $50.
That's that.
That's the one.
And I use it when I'm making great ice cream too.
Religiously.
When I'm making bad ice cream, I just wing it.
Okay, so we're good here. Now comes the fun part. This is, as I said, homemade ice cream is generally bland because you're not going to be adding a container of red dye number 16 or blue or whatever. So you get ice cream that's beige. Most of our ice creams are beige. That's homemade ice cream. That's it. So now to get the variegate, we're going to take this stuff that we made, the fresh blueberries and the little bit of mix to soup it up a little, and we'll pour it right on top. Wow, what a color. Look at that.
Beautiful. All natural.
Those fresh blueberries. And can you see that? It's just laying right on top. And then what we're going to do is we're going to give it 2 or 3 folds just to get it in there somewhat around the middle. And then through the miracle of of squeezed tubs. We're going to squeeze the tub so we'll get some nice swirls going on in there. Another one? Here, I got one. And then, if you put it in the freezer, when it hardens, every scoop will have a stripe in it or so. So if you want, we can taste it, and you can use whatever's left for garnish, right? Garnish.
Yes.
Right, garnish. Okay.
Come on up.
Okay.
Bird cheesecake.
Yes, sir.
This one, right here.
I'm gonna use this one.
Thank you. We have lots of spoons. Help yourself.
All right, Stuart, this one in the ice cream shop.
Last class we did all around my forks. She was becoming a trendsetter, so the idea of eating ice cream was good. So rich. There you go. Oh, okay, tree yogurt. Spoon? Sure. Great success.
And a graham cracker. I like a really good cheesecake from the Tennessee cheesecake.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the cheesecake flavor is terrific.
Delicious.
Too much.
How about the friendly neighborhood cameraman?
Yeah, what about him? The one who put the wrong SD card in the camera so we couldn't get started on time? That one? Yes, I'll bring you some in. Folks, we're going to take a big 10-minute coffee break, and then we'll come back. So you're free to roam the country. Folks, folks, if you want to have a seat, we're going to get ready to make Concord Grape Italian Ice.
Concord Grape Italian Ice. We haven't had enough ice cream yet, so we're going to take a break from ice cream, have some ices. Then we'll get back to ice cream. You're writing down those questions for the break, right? Later? Okay. You are, no one else can. We need questions.
Everybody, this is Crystal. When you call here and you get someone pleasant on the phone, it certainly isn't me. But Crystal handles all parts, and if you need DVDs sent to you or anything else, she takes care of it all.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's pass out this recipe. This is going to be just a classic Italian ice.
Instant classic.
Great. There we go. I've never made it before, so we'll see what happens. And this is a lot. Jeff makes products that he knows are going to work. I like to experiment. Some of them are awful. Still reeling from the avocado ice cream.
Or the Sharknado.
Oh, the Sharknado, yeah. That was a blood red cherry Italian ice with candy corn in it for the shark's teeth. I thought it was ingenious. I don't think the audience knows what we're talking about, so excuse me for 1 second. If you want the recipe, it's for free. Nobody's wanted it yet. But it's a cherry Italian ice.
That part was fine.
Yeah.
It's those rock hard candy corns.
Yeah, they were kind of hard, weren't they?
Break your nose.
But the dentists love them. So we do make Sharknado too. Okay, you go back to the Atlantic. And we'll get down to some real business. I need my own formula. So we've got the 3 pounds of Concord grapes, 1.5 pounds of sugar, 3 quarts of water. So I'll get the 1.5 pounds of sugar.
I'll get the water.
All right.
3 quarts? Did you say 3 quarts?
Yeah.
The classic Italian ice cream. 3
Yeah.
quarts.
Yeah. 1.5 pounds of sugar. I've got sugar somewhere. Here we go. Jeff, someone wrote me the other day and they said they really like it when we argue.
We never are.
I know we never
We
argue.
disagree.
Yes, and we disagree on sugar. I say sugar is sugar is sugar, and buy the cheapest sugar you can get.
Wrong.
Yes, Jeff said, I think he said wrong.
Because, I'll tell you what,
Yeah,
this is the cheapest sugar you can buy,
very cheap.
and it's $2. The best sugar in the world you can buy is $2.09. So, come on.
And the difference is the best sugar in the world has a chemical in it to keep it from clumping. If my sugar clumps, I put in a bowl and go like that. And that gets rid of the clumps.
No, you got clumps.
All right, so we've got plain cane sugar. In other words, you don't need organic sugar, but you can use it if you want. You do not need bar sugar, which is very fine. You don't have to put the sugar in water and boil it to dissolve it because it dissolves very nicely in cold water. And I'm just going to get my fancy scale here up and running. That's all right. I can disconnect you for a second. So that we can measure out the sugar.
Now, Steve spent all weekend picking these.
I did.
He was right next to me. I was picking blueberries. He was picking grapes.
Okay, I need a container for the sugar.
No, have to take a drive.
Yeah. That's good. I'll zero this out.
3 pounds, right?
Yeah.
Actually, just take 1 pound almost.
Yeah, and then pour the rest in. What? Ingenious. But a pound is 16 ounces.
Well, that's ounces.
Isn't it? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, look what you've done.
Okay. So we're going to mix the sugar and the water in a bowl, in a container. And it dissolves very nicely in just plain cold water. So here's, take these down so the camera can see. Here's my sugar. Do you think I need to puree these?
Absolutely.
Okay. I dropped your mixer on the floor, if you wouldn't mind just sanitizing it. And then
This?
Yeah.
You have any sitting there? So you want me to make up a batch?
I just put it under the sink.
Yeah. I didn't say that. I was prepared to go the full distance on this. He said just run on some water.
Okay. So we do have our,
That gets edited out, right?
something like that. We have our Concord grapes that Crystal hand-picked all the vines off of yesterday. And
What would you do if this wasn't here?
the old-fashioned method. I would get a bowl and I'd stop one.
You'd put it here, make the whole deal here, and then throw it in.
That's a great idea. Okay, ready? So,
Is that the only source of the grapes?
no, I've got grape juice.
Now, you know, we're making Italian ice, and it's Concord grape. What you can also do is get a jar of Smucker's Concord grape jelly.
That's right.
Throw it in and mix it up with this also. You can get grape juice, fresh grape, anything you want.
Yeah, the The grape jelly works great. You gotta plug it in. Let me do that for you.
That's not my job.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Did you label that? Yes, you did. What's it called? That's it.
Oh boy. Would you mind taking that off for
This is not really a pureer.
Yeah, I didn't.
They're floating.
I was thinking about it. Well, I guess we'll let the machine do it.
Just grab that Cuisinart.
What is it?
Still floating.
Yeah. We're gonna let the machine do it. So next time, puree them.
I have to work under these conditions.
I was gonna pour off some of the liquid because
They're floating.
they're floating. Okay. Let me turn this on.
Clean, orderly. Nice, right?
Italian ice.
Just like you taught us.
That's right.
Like I said, my videos, people look at all 218 of them and say, if that idiot can do that, imagine what I could do.
I was
I
one of
can
those.
take it.
I sat right where Brandy is sitting, in the back row there, my first experience with ice cream, and Steve made a Merlot ice cream, and everybody lined up, I got my share, I went back to the seat, and that's what I said. If this idiot can make this stuff, I can make real ice cream.
I learned selling in college. I actually have a master's degree in arbitrage, which is buying and selling of wine, which goes a long way in ice cream. But there was a guy over in Orlando, I was in school in Winter Park, and they had in Florida at that time, back in 1970, what I call homemade commercials. They were really homemade with a jittery camera and bad sound and everything else. And there was this guy who had sold used cars. And so they would push out about a 1960 Cadillac, and the price would be $499 on a big sign. And he'd jump on the trunk of it, and then he'd jump up on the roof. He'd go up and down like this. Oh, look, it's dented. Well, we're just going to have to rip the price in half. And that's how he sold used cars. And everybody said, look at that fool. And I looked at no, it wasn't Crazy Ed, but he was the New York version. But I looked at that and I said, wow, that guy's really got it right. So, welcome to my used car lot. What about this? I'll go back. I have enough in here. This is beautiful. Take a look. The colors, and the berries are just rolling around. They're floating. They're floating. So, next time, as it says on the instructions, puree them.
They're floating. What do you got here? Nothing grape, huh?
No, we don't have a blend anymore.
Any grape jelly in the kitchen?
No, I think this will do.
They're floating.
Anyway, it'll give you the concept. It'll give you the concept, and then you can improve on it. Let me show you something that I made last class. If I can get in here again.
Nothing? What's this?
This is a combination of three that I made with my rainbow ice maker last class. That's a coconut ice cream, a coconut non-dairy ice cream. There's no such thing. If you say the word ice cream, it's supposed to have dairy in it. all the millennials out on the West Coast are selling non-dairy ice cream. So I'll go with the flow and call it non-dairy ice cream. It's actually a sherbet or an Italian ice. So that's coconut. This is strawberry champagne. Look at that, I put strawberries in without, using a Cuisinart, and they turn that beautiful color. They're floating. I don't see them floating.
This is how you make it.
That's right. And then this one is blueberry, and I can break them up. You make the 3 different flavors. You put the divider in, and you make one flavor, and you put it in the freezer. Then you put another flavor and put it in, and then another flavor. Then you pull the divider out, and you get that result. So that's really pretty neat. And then when you go to scoop it, you hit all 3, and it's called Superman Italian Ice, or whatever name you want to call it. You can do it with ice creams. You can do it, 3 different flavors of ice cream. Or that's the Rainbow Maker. We also came up with the Great Divide. And the Great Divide is just dividing your tub in half to do 2 flavors. So it's really pretty simple, but isn't that a nice effect? And that is all natural. None of this is coloring. None of this came out of a can that you had to open while you're planning to fresh baked.
But they don't float.
No, they don't float. And take a look at that. That's a month old now, and the flavor hasn't sunk to the bottom of the can, the container. 2 months old, that's right. Because your best stabilizer on earth is cold. The colder you keep a product, the longer it will hold. So that's a nice product. We sell those.
And it's cutting board.
Uh-oh, you disconnected it. That's coming along nicely. Any questions so far? Yes?
We talk about the DVDs, are they all online, or?
Oh, you had a question about the DVDs. We have made 218 videos, how-to videos. They're all on YouTube. They're all at Emery Thompson. And Ken, you want to put that up on the screen right now? Show them the list that you've made of all the videos that we have.
That's 218 different recipes.
218 different recipes starring Jeff and me, and sometimes starring me, sometimes Sadie or Sammy, they steal the show. And they're all for the taking. And then if you go to EmeryThompson.com at the top heading, it also says formula, it says recipes, and all the recipes are right there. Everything that I've done, you can just take it away. To get Jeff's recipes, which are very secret, Jeff used to be a school teacher, hopelessly liberal person. Now he's an entrepreneur. So if you buy Jeff's book, you can get all the secrets, really important things like don't put floaters in your ice cream, use a Cuisinart. That's the kind of knowledge you're just not going to find on the internet. Yes, sir.
If I wanted to sell both Italian ices and ice cream in my shop, you mentioned earlier that you don't want to keep them in the same case. I think you said that the optimum temperature for Italian ice is 17 degrees is the serving temperature, is that right?
And the question is about selling Italian ice and ice cream. Let me show you. Since I have no chemicals and no artificial anything in my Italian ice, I use a separate cabinet for my Italian ice. So this is typical of what I call, I call it a floppy door cabinet because the lid flops over on itself. It probably has some fancy name, as opposed to the visual display cabinet where you can see the ice cream. I like these. It's always a great debate in ice cream. Do we use these or do we use the visual? The visual is nice, it attracts attention. The problem with it is it slows up the line. People go, oh, do I want this one or do I want that one? Maybe I want that one. This way, they look at the signs and say, I'll take the Grape Nuts. And you go in here and you serve. For ice cream, this is at 6 degrees Fahrenheit. Without any chemicals in my Italian ice will freeze up like a rock 6 degrees. So I buy a second one of these, I tell the manufacturer, I want to obtain a temperature of 16 degrees. They will change out the thermostat, and they're not going to do that in Czechoslovakia or China. You have to buy one made in USA from Nelson, Masterbuilt, or Global. And they'll put an Italian ice, what I call Italian ice thermostat in it, so it'll hold 16 degrees, and now we can scoop it nice and easy. It's worth it. Italian ice, a scoop of it. This is a 3.5 ounce cup. So once we round it over, it's a 4 ounce portion. We're getting about $2 for that, and this maybe cost us today with the fresh fruit, maybe 8 cents. So 8 cents turning into $2, you can afford to buy a cabinet. It's a seasonal product except for places like here in Arizona and hot climates. It'll sell year round. In Seattle, they don't even know what the weather is. It's always raining, so you can probably sell them all year anyway. But this is the way we eat it in New York. This is called a squeeze cup. And we don't use a spoon. We don't use a bowl, though the bowl is fine. We take it and we squeeze it out and we eat it like that. It's a lot of fun. And if you ask your paper supplier for squeeze cups, you're going to get the deer in the headlights look. Because they, outside of New York City, they don't know what a squeeze cup is. This is called a pleated water cup. Like a lady's dress might be pleated. That's a pleated water cup. There's only one manufacturer I'm aware of called Solo. S-O-L-O. These I got at the supermarket. That might be a 7 or 8 ounce bowl. We're still putting 4 ounces in it, but I like it because it's wide now. And you saw, I can scoop it really fast. If this was a straight up and down bowl, it's going to be a lot harder to get the product into. How's it looking? Okay. Now, Italian ice takes twice as long as ice cream because ice cream is high in fat and low in sugar. Italian ice is no fat and all sugar. The more sugar in a product, the longer the freeze time. So your strawberry might take 10 minutes, your vanilla might take 8 minutes. The Italian ices are all going to be 16 to 18 minutes. Now, if we wanted to make this a cream ice, you would have taken this exact same formula, but you would have put about a pint of the ice cream blend in there. In the old days, they might have called it a sherbet, but sherbets to me were always either raspberry or orange or lemon, and that was about it.
But
it is sherbet, and they were sticky and gummy from all the stabilizers to make it sit in the cabinet with the other stuff. I didn't like the product. A cream ice is still as pure as an Italian ice. We're just adding some dairy to it. So it's a wonderful variation. Makes it even smoother and creamier. Now people say, will your machine make a really smooth Italian ice? And please listen carefully. Will my machine make a smooth Italian ice? The answer is yes and no. It's all about the sugar content. If you're on Bay 8th Street in Brooklyn, which is an all-Italian neighborhood, they don't speak English, they are making what's called granita or granite. It's in a bigger machine, bigger than this, it's 6 pounds of sugar. It's crunchy, it's icy, they love it. If you go into Manhattan, we're selling New York-style Italian ice. It's not 6 pounds of sugar, it's now 7 pounds of sugar. And it's a beautiful product, that's what I'm making here today, New York style. If I go to Philadelphia down the Jersey Turnpike, the name changes from Italian ice to Italian water ice, and it's 8 pounds of sugar. 1 more pound of sugar than New York, 2 more than the Brooklyn, and now it's just dead smooth and very, very smooth. And if you like it that way, that's great. So there's no wrong way to do it, but the machine has nothing to do with it. What makes it Italian ice is the beater, because you're literally making wet cement, and you need a cement mixer to make Italian ice. No other machine will do it. They'll break down and they won't, they'll void your warranty. These things are so strong that we can run it 24 hours a day for the next 25 years making Italian ice. But it's such a great profit item. And if you buy the proper inexpensive sugar, you'll make even more profit. You too can drive a Corvette. Like Jeff.
Ready?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, everybody watch. Let's focus this out right. Here we go. Look at that product, isn't that nice? And look at that color. All natural. Now I can even, we're at full speed, so that's getting everything out as fast as it'll go. And everything went into the machine. You can't do that with any other batch freezer. It won't go in the opening, and they'll void your warranty because the machines are so flimsy. Jeff came in this morning, and he said he asked those of you in his class yesterday, if you came in late to this, Jeff has a 2-day class at his ice cream parlor that teaches you how to make ice cream ices and all his secret formulas. He also makes you wait on the tables, clean his car, do the dishes, you know, the whole, and he calls it teaching. You know, more way around it. But he said he asked the class, how many of you have looked on eBay for a used Emery Thompson? And all the hands went up. And then he said, how many of you have found a used machine on Emery Thompson? And no hands went up. And the reason is, the other machines on the market, which are all Chinese parts and made in Italy, they last 8 years at the best. So if you go on eBay right now, you'll find about 110 Cappigianis, Technogels, electrofreezes, Sculptings that are worn out, and the guy's unloading it to buy an Emery Thompson while he thinks he can still get some money out of it. The only way you're going to find an Emery Thompson is if the last person in the family has died off and the lawyer is dividing up the estate. Then a used machine comes up. Want to prove it? Go to eBay today. There is a 72-year-old Emery Thompson batch freezer on the machine. And if you're going to start up a brand new business and you're going to spend money for rent and flavors and cups and hats and everything else, and you're going to depend that business on a 72-year-old machine, well, God bless you, because you've got more faith than I do in my company. You know, 72 years, I got a lot of them running that old, but that's crazy. Come on up and try this. But let me show the camera. Look at that beautiful. Isn't that gorgeous? Come on up and grab that. Here's spoons.
Very good. It really is. Yeah, it is. I told you, he's not only good looking. Great. Look, there's a
You're not going to try this? It's great. No, you don't. One machine.
one
Nothing at all. The wine will stay in suspension. It's the only machine with enough refrigeration power that you can put the wine down, and it comes out great. Really. And I got a simple recipe. 750 milliliter bottle of wine, equal amount of water, a pound of sugar, and 2 bags of raspberries, frozen raspberries from the supermarket. It makes a great product. And I call it Bordeaux wine Bordeaux wine sorbet. I'm not using Bordeaux wine, so it's expensive. I'm using a cheap, dry white wine. I grew up on Boone's Farm, so I'm not going to pick it up.
Stay safe.
Sounds good.
I made something as a kid. I did a margarita.
I like the way you think. I don't know if the audience heard that, but there was a question about putting alcohol in the machine there. We're the only machines that you can put alcohol in and it won't all turn to mush. So I make rum raisin with real Bacardi rum. I make a wonderful one at Christmas time, a Grand Marnier liqueur, which is an orange liqueur. $45 a bottle from France. But it makes, you know, instead of giving Uncle Louie a pie, I give him a quart of Grand Marnier orange liqueur ice cream. It has the flavor and aroma of the orange, and then I take 6 California lemons and just grate off what the chef calls the zest, put that in, pure white product, the smell, the taste of the orange, and the little specks of orange for looks.
We made Grand Marnier Monday.
And how was it?
I wasn't.
Did you use real Habanero or ice cream? The real stuff?
Hey,
Ah,
you don't find any of this stuff in my ice
I'll
cream.
bet there's none left, is there?
Well, it's in the freezer, ready to be sold.
Ah, great. So here's a wonderful wine recipe. I haven't experimented with white yet, but I plan to, and I want to try some of the non-alcoholic wines too. But I make a Bordeaux wine sorbet. It's up at emerythompson.com. It's basically a bottle of a cheap, dry red wine. Fill it again, the bottle, with water, a pound of sugar, 2 bags of frozen raspberries in the ice cream section of the supermarket. And that's it. And it's fantastic. That's a minimum recipe. You can double it and put it in the CB350 or run it in the CB300.
Do we need to triple it to 24, or what's the smallest batch I can make it at 24 as I experiment?
On the 12, 24, and 44 quart batch sizes, you can make 20 quarts, you can make 24 quarts, or you can make a half batch of 10 quarts. But I get asked all the time, somebody or Capajani must be pushing half batches or something, because all these young entrepreneurs call up and they say, well, what about making half batches? And, I'm sorry, but I'm a wise ass. And my first answer, my first thought that comes to my mind is, if you're always making half batches of something, maybe it's a lousy flavor. If you're making half batches of bubblegum licorice, maybe your customers are telling you they don't like bubblegum licorice ice cream. Get rid of it. Because you shouldn't be making half, well, I want to experiment. Listen, if you're a year and a half into the business and you're still experimenting, do it at home. Don't do it on your customers. I know, you're always experimenting.
Well, as a user, I have the Emery Thompson 24 quart machine, and sometimes if you're going to a function privately, like we're going to a barbecue, Labor Day we're having a barbecue, I'm not going to make a full batch, and I have the 24 quart. Through practice, maybe he'll tell me I'm wrong, and they'll edit this out, but I've made 4 quarts of ice cream in there.
Jack, flag the tape. Now, you can make a half batch.
And a half batch, to me, is 5 quarts of mix, of ice cream mix.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, I do it all the time, because I don't want to, if I'm making a special thing to bring New Year's Eve, we make champagne ice cream, and we bring it to parties, and I don't want to make full batches.
No, and it's fine to make half batches on, you can't do it on these smaller machines, but on the bigger ones you can. It's just, you can't walk away from the machine. It's going to freeze in a lot less time, because there's half as much product in there. So you're thinking, oh, 8 minutes, and you get over here and you're doing something else, and all of a sudden your machine starts air coating because it protects itself from you. And so it stops itself, says, okay, we got an idiot running the machine, we're going to shut it down. And it shuts itself down, and then you call up here and we tell you, unplug the machine, wait 2 minutes, and then plug it back in, and you're back in business. How about we sit down and answer some questions?
Oh, okay. When do I make another ice cream?
Oh, you have to make 2 more today, don't you?
Yes. Oh, I don't have to.
No, please do. You're right. It's all right. I'll go sit down.
Oh, we need more minutes. We need another bit.
Coming right up.
Okay. Quickly, please.
Yes, sir.
Yesterday in the class, we had a great class yesterday and Monday. It's a 2-day class. And I remember Saturday Night Live, the doorbell rings, and who is it? Andy Graham. Yeah. So in the class yesterday, I knew I had to make 3 flavors today, and I threw it out for discussion. What should I make? Because I don't know, and I forget what I made in all those 218. So somebody suggested coffee ice cream, and somebody else suggested, because I do a lot of candies. I do Nestle Crunch, Oreo cookies, Snickers, Butterfinger, all of them. My next one is going to be Payday. But besides that, so somebody suggested KitKat. And then everybody in the discussion said, why not CoffeeKat? KitKat and coffee ice cream.
Okay.
So, with a K, right, with a K, CoffeeKat. So that's what we'll make. And I think if I like it, then I'm going to make it in the store, because I think it sounds pretty good. Coffee ice cream is interesting. It's a Coke ice cream. Some people come in, they ask where they walk up. I have 35 flavors at all times, and they go, right away, you have coffee? And we used to, but we don't anymore, because it's a small segment of the population. But I think coffee and KitKat might work. And if I make it with decaf, which we're not going to do today, but if I make it with decaf, that might work too. So we'll make CoffeeKat ice cream. What I did prior to coming here today was I took KitKats and I ground them up, so to make them easier to work with. These are just KitKats out of the wrapper. You all help.
So they don't float, is that?
Right?
I hold something back. So that's, and this is, the ingredients are going to be ice cream mix, vanilla, coffee, and KitKats, and then a secret ingredient. And this is the secret ingredient. We'll get into that later. All right, so the amounts, I don't know, so we're going to have to do this on the fly. I know that we're going to need 5 quarts of mix. And we're going to have to blend some things because we have KitKats and coffee. So we want to pre-mix that a little bit so that we don't get floaters. Okay, let's use this. So how much mix? 5, right?
5 quarts.
5 quarts. I knew you earned that diploma for some good reason. We're going to put all 5 quarts in now?
No.
No, just enough to mix everything.
Right.
So we'll put in 3, like last time. Is that what we did? 2.5.
2.5.
Well, we'll put in 3. This doesn't have 2.5. And I'm not good at improvising. So we've got 2.5. The coffee, I figure, when you add coffee, I use the freeze-dried crystals because they dissolve really easily. And to help them dissolve really easily, we'll use I have to work under these conditions here. A measuring cup. Now we won't use a measuring cup. We use a coffee cup.
The measuring cup's on top of there.
Yeah. We'll use a measuring cup with a, now I wouldn't normally do this, but I'm doing it for the benefit of live TV. We'll take teaspoons and we'll use, what's that? What's that? Oh, shoes, your shoes. 3 ounces of coffee. So 3 ounces of coffee. Let's see.
Hey Jeff, you can use one of these little squeeze cups.
But how many ounces are they?
3.5.
Right here.
This is 3.5? So good, we'll have 3 ounces of coffee. And we'll use a little hot. We'll use a hot water and disperse the crystals. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. All right, and we'll put, well, let's see, this is a teaspoon.
3 tablespoons.
Do a tablespoon?
You said 3 ounces?
Let's see. We'll put that in there, and that in there. We'll mix it up and see what we get. Now, I was going to grab a pen to mix it up with, but I wouldn't do that. Now, this looks a little weak to me, so I'm going to add a little more. We'll add another one. Dissolves really easily, and we'll pour that in there. And we'll see what color it looks like. Oh, ooh, ah. Well, that's pretty coffee. Well, maybe a little darker, right?
Right on our side.
Did you add more? Okay.
What?
You have to mix, lake out.
That's right, I have to add more mix, so I should add more coffee. What I'm gonna do is the smart thing. Oh, yeah, needs more. So much for the hot water. Now, when you're making a flavor, you can always add more. If it's too strong, you can add more mix. If it's too weak, you can add more whatever you're using. So let's see, this is about a quart of KitKats. And it weighs, well, let's guess that, it doesn't matter. How much? It's an experiment.
Okay. Well, you know that's what we do.
That's what we do here. And that's the fun of it. All right, let's see what we got. No double dip. I don't know. Because he said it's true, we have to add more mix later, right? Another two.
2.5.
Two. Oh, 2.5?
Another pound of coffee.
More coffee.
You want some taster's choice? No, we
We're
like
getting
both.
there. We're getting there.
Espresso powder, actually.
And here's the secret ingredient.
That's how you What's that, the chocolate from San Francisco?
Correct.
That's the Giadelic chocolate, that's secret?
Did you just tell everybody what it is? No. I think this might be ready. One more taste. That's good. Okay, so we have to add this and 2.5, right? Two. I thought so. So we'll add this.
So no vanilla?
Hmm?
No vanilla?
Yes, good point. Vanilla. We'll add some vanilla. How much vanilla?
5 ounces.
5 ounces.
Ounce per quart.
Boy, they're good. These guys are good. That's great. Where's the one we measured? Mixing.
You're using it,
I'm
yes.
using it. I need that. So 2 more. Anybody see the? There we go. Say when. That's the thing with these bladders, you know, if you open it, throw away the cover, you're using it. Yeah. Because that's it. Okay, we don't have to mix that. Just
Vanilla.
vanilla. Vanilla, 5 ounces, 1 ounce per quart of mix.
Yes.
And we'll turn it on. Add this. be all right. Could add a little more, well, KitKat?
Why not?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Might as well use that little bit up.
Huh?
Might as well use that little bit up.
Right. Okay. And we'll push it down in there. And I think we're ready to roll, right? Everything in there? Okay. Okay. When you're making a new flavor, don't do it like this. What we taught is what you should do. You should start with a small container, put in 8 ounces of mix. That's your base for all ice cream. Then when you're adding, let's say you add 6 ounces of coffee. So measure it out and then write down 6 ounces of coffee. Then when you add 2 more ounces, you change it to 8 ounces of coffee. And then the vanilla we know. And the KitKat, we had a quart and then we had half a pint. So another 4 ounces. Another 4 ounces. So we had, figure, 36 ounces by volume of KitKat. And that's it. Right? So the secret ingredient. Peanut chocolate, probably about half a pint of that.
Two little grooves, make sure it goes in.
In there. Okay. Anything else? And then put them on these cards, laminate the cards, and keep a card file, and then before you know it, you've got 100 recipes. Some don't work. Yes.
Is there any sugar in the mix?
Yes, there is. Is there any sugar in the mix, in the ice cream mix? Yes, there is. How much?
That's not in my voice, no.
I don't know. But I know that on the box that the mix comes in 2 ladders to a carton case. It really do mention sugar.
It wouldn't be ice cream without sugar.
I'm sorry?
It wouldn't be ice cream without
Correct.
sugar.
Right. It would be ice cream without sugar. I'm old school. I think dessert, we're in the frozen dessert business. I think dessert should be sweet and flavorful and creamy. That's just it. And look, your store, your operation is going to have different recipes than mine. You have to use my recipe. You're going to say, a little too sweet. And he's going to say, not sweet enough. And somebody else can say, needs more KitKat, or less coffee, or whatever. And that's why homemade ice cream is so beautiful. And that's why you'll be successful, and you'll be successful. It also depends on the area. If you're in, let's say, a Hispanic area, then coconuts are going to fly, and sweet is going to fly. I don't really know much about the truffles, but I know I'm in a pretty diverse area. People from all over the country in my store. So I have 35 flavors, and the flavors range from very sweet to moderate. Yes, back there.
I didn't say anything. I got it.
I'm fishing for questions. And the class I offer, since there's no question, is the ice cream boot camp, and it's given the 2 days prior to these classes. So it's the Monday and Tuesday of the week that this class is given.
Gee, we're going to do a Q&A after we make this. So
Apparently they're saving them up.
I hope you think up some questions between now and then. Otherwise, Jeff and I are going to be talking about how about them Yanks.
Steve, I have a question.
Hey.
So the flavor base is like, you know, you got behind you
that's what, can you make the bases for ice cream instead of using these flavors? Well, that's what we're doing. We made the Concord grape, not from a base, but from Concord grapes. And a little grape
Make
juice.
the base. Why make the base?
Yeah, no.
Sell it to other people.
Sell it to other people? High Rise has got you by 50 years.
Yeah, and now you're in the flavor and fragrance business. You know, it's not the ice cream business. It's a whole different ballgame.
But at the same time, tomorrow, if KitKat starts selling those bases, who's gonna go where?
It's not gonna start selling.
I'm just saying, you know, so it's just like, is there a way you can make your own base?
No,
Or
not that I'm aware of, unless you're a food scientist.
Who
You
would
make
buy
your
it?
own base.
Who's your customer?
I'll get right to you. I think it's important in business that you figure out what business you're in and then stick to it. I can't tell you how many people have come to me and asked me to make mixers. I don't make soft ice cream machines. They want me to make deep fat fryers. One guy said you ought to make a DeLorean car because you know so much about stainless steel. It's diverting from what I do. I am a manufacturer of batch freezers and the best in the world. So we got that way by specializing in what we do. If you're going to be in the frozen dessert business, don't be selling fried chicken. If you want to watch a business die, watch a business that starts off by selling one product and then starts adding unrelated items. There are so many times that's happened. Back in the mid-'70s, because of the Who and the album Tommy, there was a huge craze on pinball machines. So every salesman was going around trying to put pinball machines into soft ice cream parlors. And they said, look at this, you're going to make $100 a day. And you know what? They did make $100 a day. But they lost about $700 because the kids are sitting there going bang, 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 bang. And the mothers with small children are coming in. And the kids are all crowded around these machines. And the mother said, I don't like the atmosphere here. And the parents were saying, I don't like you spending all your allowance on a pinball machine. They lost sight of what they were doing. There's a thing called, now I'll answer another question of yours. There's a thing called the wheel of marketing that I learned in school. If it was a clock, imagine a clock, and you start at 7 o'clock, and you're selling TVs. And then you say, well, this is going pretty well. Why don't we also sell refrigerators and ovens? So now you're up to 10 o'clock on the wheel of marketing. And then at 10 o'clock, you say, hey, why don't we sell a cheap line of women's clothing? So now you're at 2 o'clock. You're selling TVs, refrigerators, ovens, and women's clothing. And then at 5 o'clock, you say, hey, why don't we add a more expensive line of clothing? And then all of a sudden, someone at 6 o'clock says, hey, you know what? There's nobody in this town selling TVs. I think I'll sell TVs. And you were just put out of business because you lost sight of what your business was. Right? Yes.
The reason I ask is because let's say Jeff opens up a shop somewhere in Arizona, so he can't be there. So he needs to save his recipe, same recipe. So there should be a way to take those recipes, put it in a jar, and send it to this Arizona store.
Here's the way. You're asking about how do you have different stores and how do you have consistency is what you're
giving
coming
away
at.
your recipe.
Right there.
Yeah, that's. I mean, the other store you don't want
I have a book
everybody
of
to
them.
know.
You know what? I give away all the recipes for everything I make here, and I'm the most successful manufacturer in the world. It pays to give stuff away because nobody's going to make it just like you. There's a place in St. Louis called Ted Drew's, without a doubt the most famous place on earth for frozen custard. He has a second and a third store, and you can ask people in St. Louis, they'll say, you know, the custard's just not as good as the other two stores. It's the same man, it's the same formula, it's the psyche of it. People say your product is the best, that's why they come to you. Yeah, if you want to get in the flavor and fragrance business, fine, but now you're adding BHT, you're adding citric acid, you're adding all these chemicals so you can keep it on the shelf for 6 months and then ship it somewhere else. That's not the way the business will go. We're in homemade, making the highest quality we can. You got a question? Okay. Here's your secret formula.
Which I didn't even write down. I don't know if it's good. I'm in trouble.
You'll have to watch the video. Yeah, watch the video.
Right.
There you go. Yes. Okay. Don't bid in an auction. That just cost you $100,000 for a Renoir.
this, what do we do?
We can eat soon. We'll barbecue it. I mean, if they don't have questions, we'll ask themselves other questions.
Okay.
I think it's still on my list from 6 months ago.
Okay, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
Let me get out of the way so the camera can see. Look at that, that's beautiful. Nice.
Pristine.
Okay, want to try some?
Come on up. Don't tell me you're tired of ice cream already. We still have the afternoon to go. Wait till you try the habanero.
What's the candy in here?
Water, sugar, and coffee.
I use Taster's Choice.
We're getting chocolate. We're getting a lot of, you get chocolate cake.
It dissolves. I'm going to just show the camera. I use Taster's Choice when I make coffee.
But I like the
It dissolves very nicely. I like everything to be strong because if you're a tea drinker, you're not going to buy my coffee ice cream. So I'm making coffee ice cream, coffee Italian ice. It'll put hair on your spleen. The only problem with that is I made it and my sister came down from Chicago, flew down here, and I said, if you take the coffee ice cream, don't eat it after 6 at night. I didn't see her for several days. She comes in, her eyes are down here by her ankles, and she's all, looking horrible. I said, what happened to you? So I've been up for 3 days because I ate a pint of your coffee ice cream at 11 o'clock at night. So rather than feeling sorry for her, I said, wow, why don't I make it out of decaf?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
I have a question. So how does she react to spicy like salty spicy?
No problem at all.
So like for Mexico, they have like spicy.
It's just an ingredient.
The salt's not gonna make it's a stew. I don't know if it's gonna be better.
No, we're gonna make a habanero ice cream this afternoon, and you'll see.
Habanero you use
No, but
paste or
I'm using a paste. I've never made them before. So we're supposed to see what it is.
That's right, because he,
they make really good habanero sauce.
Oh, I got this out of the far west. We'll see. Well, I'm gonna get a couple of chairs, and Jeff and I are gonna sit down and relax and answer a few questions. And I think I've lost my 6th cup of coffee now. And hi, Paula. Come in. Everyone, this is fun. Lunch? Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna see if anyone wants to ask us questions. If not, then we'll go lunch. Let me go get us some chairs.
Tell her when she's ready to put away. Maybe I'll get some more.
Yeah.
I know I can. Because when I make it, I still have
You're right, same foot.
Yes, I can tell you. What do you
You pick up the check.
Hey, Jack, I motorized it. Oh, okay. You must have picked it.
Sure, Wendy.
Okay. So Jeff, a gentleman just asked about adding spices to ice creams. She'll be in a minute. Adding.
I think she already did it.
Okay. So I'll just talk to myself here. He asked about adding spices to ice cream. And it's just an ingredient. So you can put anything into the machine that you want. Any kind of flavorings, it doesn't matter. I was saying anything can go into the machine, any kind of spices, whatever you'd like to make.
Yeah, I'm not big on bacon or beer or flours, but people who've gone through the class have all gone that way. There's a guy in Tampa who's famous for his beer bacon ice cream and bourbon bacon ice cream. Whatever you want.
Yeah, and these
As long as you got one of these.
They can become a signature to get people
True,
in.
true. I put some alcohol in some of the flavors, and that brings people in also.
One trend that's happening in the Italian ice business is thanks to a customer of mine, Ralph's Italian Ice up in Staten Island. And we've talked about this, so I've mentioned it in other videos. It's very hot here in Florida. And in a hot climate, high fat content ice creams will make you sweat. It'll give you a stomach ache because the body can't assimilate that kind of fat. So up in New York, if Jeff and I were up there, and he was selling 14% fat, I'd sell 16, just so I can say I'm the richest ice cream in New York. That'd be the only reason I could see to do it. The higher fat content does make it creamier. But the problem is it'll upset your stomach. So down here, I looked around to see who was successful and who wasn't. And the lower fat ice creams, the federal minimum is 10%. And both Jeff and I run 10%. Everything here today is 10%. It's called the federal minimum for calling it ice cream. We call it a great ice cream because nobody ever walked out of an ice cream parlor and said, oh, that's the best fat content I ever ate. Or, wow, I can't wait to come back here tomorrow. I love their air content. What they taste is the Ghirardelli chocolate or the fresh grapes. Or floating grapes, or whatever flavor you're making. They eat flavor. So, my friend Larry from Ralph's Ice was talking to us, and we were talking about this high fat content thing, and he went back to Staten Island and said, why can't I make ice cream flavors but with an Italian ice base? When I was growing up, Italian ice was lemon, cherry, grape, orange, and if you're a New Yorker, chocolate. And that was it. There were no other flavors. And then one of our customers, Rita's, came along and started making mango and kiwi, and high-end restaurants started making papaya and champagne. And today there's no limit to what flavor you can make or sell.
Any flavor ice cream, any flavor you can think of can be either ice cream, ices, or cream ice, any flavor.
And that's what Ralph's is doing now, is he's taking Oreo cookies and adding it to sugar and water and making Oreo cookie Italian ice. Or we made recently peanut butter and jelly Italian ice. So there's no reason you can't make any of these flavors. They're very inexpensive because your two basic ingredients are water and sugar, and the sky's the limit on the flavoring. You had a question back there?
Yeah, because I was reading an article about Rita's ingredients, and it says that almost all their flavors have corn syrup. What's your opinion on that ingredient?
I don't use corn. The question is, they said, you were reading an article, I'm reading it for the camera audience, that Rita's uses corn syrup. I don't use corn syrup.
I don't either.
There's no reason to. Pure cane sugar is exactly that. It's pure and it's cane. I don't need off brands. In the past, corn syrup was used. It makes the product smoother, theoretically, but you use 1 ounce too much, and now your smoother product is gummy. And why do people use it? Quite frankly, because it's cheap. It's cheaper than sugar. Well, if you're making a product for 8 cents and selling it for $2, how cheap do you want to go? You're already making a tremendous profit. Why not? You can either sell something that you would sell at Yankee Stadium because it's cold and you're dying of the heat, or you can make something that has lines around the block. And the difference is the stuff I would sell at Yankee Stadium costs about 5 cents to make. And the stuff I'm selling for lines around the block at your store is 8 cents, speaking Italian ice. And that's not enough of a difference to not want to be known in town as the best place in the world to go.
One other thing about fat content, I do use 10%, and you wouldn't think there's a big difference between 10%. The dairies that where you get your mix from, they sell either 10, 12, or generally 14 or 16. Those are the standards, and you wouldn't think there's a big difference between 10 and 12, but it's 20%, and it is a big difference. They delivered about 2 years ago. They brought me my cream on Tuesday morning, which is when I get it delivered, and he said, we didn't have 10%, so we brought you 12%. What do I know? So I said, okay, fine. And this is a true story. He brought it in, and I made ice cream that day using the 12% mix. And then the next day, it was ready to be sold. I'm only open at night. So the next night, it was ready, and of course, I tasted it, and I dumped it out. It was, to me, it was that much of a bad difference. So I dumped it out, and I just insist on 10% now. You wouldn't think it's a big difference, but it is, 10 to 12.
Well, you know, another way to look at it is whole milk is 4%. Low-fat milk is 2%. It's only a 2% difference. And there's a world of taste difference between low-fat and whole milk.
Good point.
So it does make a point, but it really becomes, you know, like the expression that, you know, with Texas, with the nightclubs, too much is never enough. I get people calling up and saying, oh, I hear Haagen-Dazs is 16%. I want 24%. Well, I made 24% ice cream once with the president of Godiva, Al Pacenic, and it was so overly rich that within an hour, all my employees up in New York were ill. The body couldn't take that much fat.
Do I have time for a 2-minute story?
You got all the time in the world.
Okay. I'm serving, this is maybe 5 years ago. I've been open 7 years. And about 5 years ago, I had 6 flavors, and one of them was coconut. It's an amazing coconut ice cream. It's in the book. Anyway, so a tall, robust guy comes in a suit. And suits in Florida are a little unusual. And he wouldn't have papers to serve me. So he came in, and he looks at the 6 flavors on the board, and he said, oh, you have coconut. I said, yeah. He said, let me have it. So I gave him a portion of coconut, a true story. And he's eating the coconut, and his eyes are lighting up, and he looked at me, and he went like this. He said, 16. And I said, yeah. And it turns out he was an ice cream representative or seller throughout the whole state of Florida, and he's 16%. And he said, you make this, I'll sell it up and down the whole state. He says, nobody makes a great 16% coconut. So it's really perception.
And it was only 10.
10, it's always been 10. True story.
But it comes down to people eat flavor. That's really, spend your money on great flavors. Now, you were also saying one time that there are 2 dairies here in Florida. We don't have to name them.
There are
but
2.
They're both making 10%. And what did you find?
Well, I used one dairy for years, maybe 4 years. And it was great. They delivered on Thursdays, and they delivered the 2 bladders to a case, 10%. And I was making ice cream. I built a terrific business on it, very successful. And the door opens one day, and a guy comes in, and he said, who are you using for your mix? And he obviously knew, because there's only 2 in Florida, and he wasn't having my business. So he knew. He said, do me a favor. Let's have a blind taste test. And I said, bring it on. And I turned around, and I have 2 little souffle cups, and he filled them both, one with my mix and one with his. And I didn't know which was which, and he said, all right, try them. And I tried one. I said, that's it. That's great. Perfect. No problem. He said, now try this one. I tried this one, and I went, whoa, much, much better. Night and day. And that was his. So it took me 12 seconds to determine that he's got my business now. I don't like to do that. I like to be loyal, but the difference was night and day.
What was the difference?
I'll tell you what the difference was. The difference was his mix contains an amount of vanilla. The other mix doesn't. His mix is slightly sweeter than the other one. And now I could compensate and keep, I didn't know that at the time, so I gave him my business. After time, I realized what those 2 things were. One was slightly sweeter, and one was the addition of vanilla into the mix.
And which did you prefer?
His, no doubt.
Which one, the one with vanilla or
The
the?
vanilla and the sweet, yeah.
Oh, okay.
No doubt. Night and day.
Huh,
And that's the one that you use.
yeah,
Has vanilla in it. It's a little sweet.
yeah. And yeah, we still add more vanilla.
Well, of course we do.
Because they're in the dairy business, they're not in the ice cream business, and we want that vanilla to pop. Yes?
Do you put the vanilla in all your flavors? In every one that you do, the one?
Not every one. 90% of them, yes. I don't use vanilla in mint chocolate chip. I don't use it in margarita. Some of them I don't. And why? Mint chocolate chip's a good example. I want mint chocolate chip to be pure mint and then chocolate chips. And I think vanilla tends to make it more like other ice creams. And I want that to stand on its own.
And you do the same thing for Italian ice? You do a vanilla, if you add vanilla to the
Some you don't add vanilla. Lemon you wouldn't add vanilla.
I don't add vanilla to many Italian ices, hardly any.
The more you get diverse in those Italian ice flavors with Oreo cookies and Reese's peanut butter cups, the more you would add vanilla, I think.
Mhm.
I think.
Sure.
But Italian ice has always been like a slushie at 7-Eleven. You know, you grab it, it's unbelievable, it's freeze, you get brain freeze, throat freeze, it's great. So to contaminate those flavors with anything, even grape vanilla, would be to do it a disservice, I think.
Has anybody looked at all into, as you're thinking about what business you're going to do, into the liquid nitrogen ice cream?
We had that.
We talked about that.
We did come up?
I just bought out a liquid nitrogen shop that I bought all the refrigeration because he went under. Neat process, but it's very slow, and outside of the show, it wasn't that.
And then one day, boom.
Yeah, the big problem with it is it's slow. You can go on YouTube and you can watch any number of videos of them making, and the
Each
liquid
portion
nitrogen
is made right then.
right then.
So if
And
there's 15 people in line, you're making,
It's going to take you 40 minutes.
yeah, time,
Really?
well,
Yeah.
it takes 7 minutes a portion. To
Really?
look at those YouTube videos with your watch, and you'll see from the person, when they order until they walk away, is 7 minutes. Now, you multiply that times 10 people, that's 70 people. And if you're in Great Britain, they take great pride on standing on a line. You know, they call it getting on a queue. Not here in the United States. If I gotta wait more than 10 minutes for a doctor, I'm finding another doctor.
so what's the advantage of that?
It's the show.
It's the
Yeah.
show. And they try to say it's fresh. Now, here's the other thing. It takes 7 ounces of mix to make 4 ounces of ice cream. Because so much is lost to the machine.
Really?
Yeah, I checked that too. I watched him pour in 7, and then he had a 4-ounce cup and it barely filled it. So it's nothing but show.
You know,
and
since
it's bad.
the 70s, I'm a 60s guy, and since the 70s when TCBY came out, remember that? The country's best yogurt? Everybody bought a franchise. And in the 70s, they were like photo mats. Remember photo mats? They were everywhere. And then in the 80s, they went down and people went out of business. Now they're back. The frozen yogurt places, is that what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, the frozen yogurt places are back. Independent people are opening up small chains of frozen yogurt, but they're going to fade too, in my opinion. And it's just like gelaterias. Gelaterias, same thing. And I told my class, we had a great discussion yesterday. There are 7 billion people on this planet. 7 billion. That's how many customers you have, because every single person, man, woman, and child, whether they're 6 months old or 106 years old, they like and know ice cream. Everybody, whether you're in South Carolina or South Africa, or China or California, everybody knows ice cream. Your world is 7 billion people. That's your customer base, 7 billion people. Now, if you try to sell frozen yogurt in Bulgaria, they're going to look at you like you're from Mars. They don't know what frozen yogurt is. Gelato? Sorry. You know, it's ice cream, and even ices, no offense, even Italian ices, 3/4 of the world has no idea what Italian ices are. And then you go to cream ice, never heard of it. But ice cream, especially great ice cream, is known by 7 billion people. It's a great market.
That 3/4 of the world that doesn't know Italian ice yet is virgin territory to me. I love it.
I love it too.
But if you want, if you're out there
But
watching
you have
this,
to educate, wherever you are, you would have to spend the initial time educating the customer
absolutely.
into what it is.
When I came down here from New York to go to school in 1969, they had Shakey's Pizza. I swear, it was a piece of cardboard with Heinz ketchup on it. I mean, Italian, I went out to try to sell Italian ice machine, and the guy goes to me and goes, "Golly, what's an Italian?" It was an uphill battle. But if you're out there and you're thinking about frozen yogurt, let me just show you one little test you can do to prove that this product is dead. Go to eBay, and you look at a machine. What you used to look at was a machine for sale in Los Angeles. It's a guy selling one Taylor used soft ice cream machine, one machine, because he's bought something else, who knows why. Now, that same guy has for sale 7 Taylor machines. And another guy over here in San Diego has 7 Taylor machines. And another one over in Houston, Texas has 7 Taylor machines. That means his business has gone out of business, and he's selling off the whole place. I can't tell you how many people I talk to in a day who have yogurt, and they're saying, "How can I switch into ice cream?" And I tell them, you got to scrap the whole plan. The good news is you've got the plant and equipment there. You've got the plumbing. As far as you looking for a location, this is a gold mine. Back in the 70s, the funny things that you would think are unrelated affect you. In the 1970s, they said, you can't have these steel gas tanks in the ground anymore at your gas station because those steel tanks are rotting out and the gas is going into the ground, bad for the environment. They made them either go out of business or pull those tanks out and put in fiberglass tanks. Very expensive. A lot of them went out of business. And so those stores were just sitting there. They used to be gas stations. The EPA came along and said, well, you got to pull the tanks anyway. You're still out of business, but pull the tanks. They made the best ice cream parlors on earth in the 70s. With the 3 bays, lots of room, free parking, plenty of electric, plenty of water. They were perfect. Today, I look at these yogurt stores and I say, we got it all over again, another gold mine. Because some poor soul has paid thousands of dollars for electricity, for water, for drains. He or she got the permits, and now you throw everything out and put up new signs, and you make it an old-fashioned ice cream parlor, and your cost to get into that store is fractional. Because all the real expensive money is not in the equipment, it's in the infrastructure. Having the water lines where you need them, having the power where you need it. So look for a yogurt business going out of business and just plan. Don't think you're going to just say, and now we also have hard ice cream. You got to scrap the whole thing and start over.
And if you think about your choices, everybody here has a choice to make as far as what frozen product to sell. And you all want to work for yourselves, and you all want to make good and provide for your family, and maybe leave a business to your son in 20 years. Well, if you think about soft serve and frozen yogurt and gelato and just cream ice, the market is limited. But why not, and nitrogen, same. But why not put your money on a sure thing? Something that people in Japan eat, something that people in South America eat, something that every 7 billion people understand, enjoy, and want. There's very few products on this earth where 7 billion people want what you're selling.
Our machines are in 171 countries around the world. They're in countries I can't even pronounce the names of, or let alone know where they are until the machine ships. But that's how widespread ice cream is. As far as gelato, you talk to any of the other companies because they're all Italian. Electrofreeze is Italian, it's owned by Cappigiani. Stolting is an American company selling Italian machines, on and on and on. The Italians just think we're crazy. To them, gelato is the be-all and end-all. They don't like American ice cream. Fine, they can have it. But basically, if you want to know, and my machines make better gelato than anybody because my ingredients, my nuts, cookies, bananas, everything go right into the machine. They can't do that. They have to add everything as it's coming out. I make a better gelato. I still would put gelato maybe in an ice cream parlor as an additional flavor. It's still a frozen dessert. But here's the real key. Mother walks in with a 7-year-old child. I'll be the 7-year-old child. And so the 7-year-old child is like, Mommy, could I please have a tiramisu? You know, what kid is going to ask for a tiramisu or a fruit of Tabasco or a hazelnut?
Next thing you know, you'll be freezing a slab of marble and trying to make ice cream.
Really?
Those are dropping like flies too.
I mean, tiramisu is a nice flavor, so's hazelnut.
They've done
But
it.
kids don't ask for it. They want Superman, they want Cookie Monster, they want mint chip, they want vanilla. These are flavors that have been selling for hundreds of years and will sell for hundreds of years
And
from now.
when it's time for your kids to take over your business, rest assured they're going to sell the same great product to all new people who like ice cream. Everybody likes ice cream. It's just a no-brainer in my world.
Everybody ready for lunch?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to shut off the cameras and we're going to bring in the lunch and then we'll reconvene after lunch.
I'm going to show you the simplest ice cream that'll sell every day. And it's simple. Virtually 2 ingredients. And no prep. And here it is. It's going to be Heath Bar Crunch. We made it the other day. Simplest ice cream. This is the first ice cream I try to make in the class to show everybody the utter simplicity of this business. You all right, man?
Yeah.
Was it that habanero sauce?
Give me a break.
And this is simply 5 quarts of mix. Come on, be there, come on.
Oh, raise it.
Come on. Close enough, right?
Yeah.
5 quarts of mix in the machine. Now, did I rinse it?
No.
No, why not? Because the last flavor was coffee KitKat, close enough. It is, close enough. They're both brown. So in this goes,
Uh-oh.
fear not. Who said uh-oh? Fear not. Now, by the way, when you're making ice cream, if you notice that when it's made, you start to get some drips, the very obvious, simple thing is that these just give them another hand type. Right?
Yeah.
Right. But that wasn't the case. It was just an errant uh-oh. A little vanilla. How many ounces? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4.
$240 a gallon, thank you.
Yes, I know. That's why I don't bring my own.
That, by the way, will drop down to about $60 in another year.
It was free.
You said it'll drop to 60 in another year.
And this is Heath Bar.
Yeah.
Heath, I'm trying to work.
I said nothing.
This is Heath Bar pieces. They come in big bags. I packed it away already, but they're like 5-6 pound bags, and they're already crushed up like this. They're made, they sell them in Restaurant Depot for people who own ice cream stores or whatever, frozen yogurt places. Anyway, all you have to do is put your mix in the machine, turn it on.
Brand new door.
And add this. You're stealing my thunder.
I told you never do an act with animals.
And all we're going to do is just add these right in. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
So this actually means we'll be saving the best flavor of the day for last.
Well, I certainly didn't want to follow the habanero.
Don't worry, we got plenty of Tums.
The EMT truck outside.
Oh, I got 2 of them out there.
Alright, here we go.
You're a little fake. How about that? It works.
Boom. There it is. Homemade ice cream with 2 ingredients that'll sell every single day. You taste it, it's great. It's simpler than you think. And if you think about it, I lost the crowd there.
We ain't trying to slip on. We looked at the cover, but
when you think about it, this is great. Now, if you want other 2-ingredient ice creams, mix crushed Oreos, mix Butterfinger, mix Crunch, anything. And it's the 2 things. And when you have on your board or wherever you're selling it, Heath Quart, vanilla Heath Quart Crunch, one of them very big sellers. Or you have you can add chocolate chips to this if you want. I mean, just anything you can do. It's all ice cream. It's under the umbrella of ice cream. What?
Sorry, can you use the real name tags like your logo?
Of course, I'm using the real product.
But in your menu,
Yes, and that's a good point. So can you use the real names? Absolutely. And what I do is I cut on the box or the bag where the name and the logo is so it's instantly recognizable. That's what I do. If you were using Walmart caramel chocolate crunch and you put up Heath bar on there, you can't do that. But sure, you're using it. Why not? Yes, sir.
I know she don't sign your groceries. She's got the barbecue.
I never tried this, and I don't think you should either. It presents a false sense of security. Because let's say you're making this. If you make this at 8:30 in the morning, it might take 12 minutes. If you make it at 1 o'clock, it might take 10 minutes. Because the temperature of the machine will down to make that. Also, the humidity of the air will change. I don't like to rely on time. And that's another reason. If you have a timer, you're more apt to go take a phone call in the other room or read your book on the lounge there. So you can't do that. You must stay right by the machine. Did you notice how many times I checked when Steve was talking his product? Because it has to be pulled at the right time. You can underpull it, but you can't overpull it. In my world, if I leave the ice cream go 30 seconds too long, to me, it becomes a little pasty. If I pull it sooner, no problem. So, I mean, not sooner watery. The window you have in ice cream is probably 2 to 3 minutes of being soft, which is how I like it, or really firm, which is not how I like it. So if you have a timer, you're going to use it. And then you're going to say, well, I got 12 minutes, I'm going to go out for lunch, or whatever. You're not going to go out for lunch, but you might go in the other room. You might set up some computer program that you're working on. You might play Angry Birds, whatever, but your mind isn't here. And I make ice cream pretty much every other day for about 4 hours. And those 4 hours I'm there. Now I'm a reader, so I have a book, but I'm sitting here. And my mind is always, my eyes are always looking here. This is the most important thing right here. That's your refrigeration. That'll control everything. Of course, you never want this on without this on. So, it's not rocket science. I can do it. I'm no genius. And I've made a lot of money not being a genius. Just making ice cream. That's all. I'm only open 4 hours a night, 6 nights a week. No daytime hours. What? But it's true. It's true, right? It's true. And we do okay, don't we? Yeah, we do okay. Boy, do we do okay. And I don't have any toppings. No cones. No toppings at all. No sharing. No tasting. No splitting flavors. You get a cup of a flavor of ice cream and a spoon. and that's it. And that's it. No crushed pineapple, no bananas, no cherries, no nuts, nothing. No sprinkles. No waffle cones, no waffle bowls, no waffle anything. You get a cup. Two sizes. Small, regular. That's it. That's all you get.
And no
Simple.
complaints.
No complaints. It's very simple business. Very simple
Last person who complained, he flattened the tires on their golf cart.
The golf cart accessible.
Everybody, this is Jack. He's the voice behind the control room.
Hi, Jack.
Hi, Jack.
That was it. Just don't yell that on the
Good.
phone.
One fan of a bad joke. We had vanilla.
Don't say that in an airport.
No.
Yes, you did.
Almost ready. This is a big seller in the store. Quart crunch, we call it. And as a matter of fact, if we use fake Quart, you could call it Quart. That's a trademark name. So we call it Quart.
What are the top three sellers?
The top three sellers in my store: vanilla caramel praline, Oreo crunch, and Bailey's. Those are the top three sellers. But it varies. Right now, we're making a really killer key lime for the summer. Simple to make. Key lime. How simple is that? That was delicious. Her favorite. How simple is that? Recipes in my book. All that. So what else? Tom, help me out. Yes, but you again?
You add more bars to it now after?
Here's the deal. I think that people put the stuff in it as it's coming out, the decoration, because they have the tub sitting in dipping cases, and they want it to look pretty. You know that rule, right? Right. I don't believe in dipping cases. I never have. I think they're counterproductive to keeping ice cream fresh. Because show of hands, what's the worst thing you can let come in contact with your ice cream? Air. You ever go into a place and you see the 16 tubs there, and there's ice crystals, and the sides look like somebody's basement? It's a bad deal. That's because air gets in. When you open the dipping cap, somebody says, I'll have that, you're opening it to 16 flavors, and you're scooping one, and then you close it, and all the air is still in there. It's a big open space. I use containers for the ice cream, small containers. No air gets, very little air gets in there. What was your question?
Same thing, like adding more heat bars.
Oh, adding more heat bars. You can, but I don't see a need for it. When you taste it, you'll get plenty in there. You know, I put 3 pounds in. That's, it's pretty good amount of heat. But put more, it doesn't matter. You can always add them. Some people add them as it's coming out, and that's hard. It doesn't make sense. Just throw them in the machine, let the machine work. But some people add them as they're coming out. They're trying to do this, Any other questions? How about way back there on the first balcony? Young lady. He'll edit all this out anyway. I wind up with about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You're done. What?
So if you have molds, like, like in home,
Yeah,
stick,
yeah.
if you choose molds, then that, put it in a mold and.
Absolutely. I think Steve has a problem with it, but I don't. You can absolutely do that, sure. Sure, you make little bunny rabbits, you know, or
Yeah,
anything.
something for kids, you know, just free.
They have those Teflon things now that pop out the product. You get the molds, there's a company online, ice cream molds. You do it, put it in the freezer, pop them out.
Well, these are here.
There they are, right there. They're right over there. We're almost there, right? Almost there. Real close. That's good enough. Then you get to try this. Okay, ready? Okay, you ready? That's a beautiful thing. You see what I mean about all our ice cream being beige? That's it. That's our lot in life. You could add dark brown color to this, but why?
Beautiful.
Well, should we try it?
Yep.
Ooh. But I better try it first. Huh. This is amazing. How simple is this? I mean, there was nothing. Two ingredients in here. Come on, try it.
There we go.
This is good ice cream. How's your wife holding up?
Doing pretty good today.
You had this yesterday.
I took your suggestion, Jeff. I took your suggestion.
What?
You divorced
Yeah.
him?
I don't even know.
15 of them.
13.
His electric bill looks like a helicopter going out of
My
control.
electric bills are more than anybody you know. Yeah.
You just put zero.
Let me just say this.
He had one of
Steve,
those.
How many times you been to my place?
Never. If he had one of those, he could get rid of all 13 or 12 or whatever of those cabinets.
So it goes in there.
It stays for as long as you want. Overnight,
The best
Maybe like
one.
12 hours.
8 hours.
8 hours minimum.
Yeah, overnight, or if you wanted to take it 30 below. If you wanted to just take it down to 0 like those are doing, maybe 4 hours.
Oh, really?
They're designed to pull out of box. Hey, Jack. Thank you.
I know, I'm going.
Come on.
Okay, my technical difficulties.
What is it always is?
My technical difficulties with this great. Oh, yeah, much good that you made. Oh, wait, I made that. Okay. Where was I? Oh, yes. And you took them. Are you bleeding anywhere? Wow, good job. Thank you. You took the protective wrap off these. Now, let me see what we're doing with this one. Who's got the habanero? Right here. 3.5 quarts of ice cream blend, 30 ounces of raspberry, and that's it. Another one of those simple flavors. This came about because of one of my customers in Enid, Oklahoma, E-N-I-D. He's Dandy Don's Donuts and Deli Delights, or as I call them, the 4 Ds. Bob Kaiser and his wife. He says, Steve, this shipment is by way of thanks for your class provided to my wife Kathy and her recent visit to your factory. Our friends over at the Over the Fence Farms have developed a product that turned into one of our favorite flavors of gelato. I'm sure it'll work well into the ice cream and hope you try it in your next class. So that's what we're going to try. And this is a sauce that they said normally you would put on a cracker and serve as an appetizer. And this comes from Over the Fence Farms. Ken, will you take the information from me later and put it up on the screen or add it to the credits? Okay. So we'll check this closed. Now, when you weren't looking, we put a longer spout on the machine so that it wouldn't drip on the machine. Here's my mix. Now, I want to get a high yield on this, so I'm going to do homemade. Start that going, I'll turn that on. And I will do look at it. Boy, this goes back to this little statement. Back to me making ice cream 30 years ago. Everything in this room should be plastic. If you've ever dropped it, it's a little bit of a crazy analogy, but if you've ever broken a wine glass at your dining room table, you know how you find shards of glass in the living room and the kitchen. It just explodes. I'm taking it out. That's 36. This is plastic. If I drop it, it remains plastic. If this was Pyrex, and I drop it on the ground like we use at home, I know it'll break into two pieces. I can put the two pieces back together. And I know I have the dust cover on the machine. But you're in the food business now. You never want to take a risk. You never want any liability at all. Even if I was standing in the back of the room and this is Pyrex and it's broken into two pieces, I would dump that product and start over, rinse it out, disassemble the machine, put it back together again. Because I never want to take any risk. So the simplest way never to have to go through all that pain in the neck is nothing glass like that in the room. That should be here, it should just be out right away. Same thing with chemicals. I said this morning that you could use Clorox bleach to sanitize your machine instead of Sterashine. Another good reason to do it is because it's Clorox bleach or chlorine bleach, and it comes in a gallon jug. So does a product that I don't have it here called citric acid. The citric acid comes in a gallon jug. It might look like something like this. Citric acid is used to make is a cheap way of making lemon ice more tart. I don't use it because it makes your throat close up. It's just a chemical. So, in my ice cream room, and it's 11 o'clock at night, I have citric acid, I have Clorox bleach, and I make my lemon ice, and then I go home, and at 4 in the morning, I wake up wide awake wondering, did I put the citric acid in the 400 gallons of lemon ice that I made, or did I put in the Clorox bleach? So, the point is, if you're using any cleaning agents in this room, have a locked cabinet, or take the chemical, whatever it is, you put it out of the room. After you sanitize the machine, put it out of the room, lock it up, and then you never have to worry about, did you put Clorox bleach into your product? And don't think it doesn't happen. See, these recalls that you see about food, they're not just because they feel like recalling it. They have made some horrible mistake, and some executive woke up at 4 in the morning, or actually some line man, and production line, and couldn't answer that question when you put Clorox in or he puts it in gas, and they had to recall the product from 50 states. You don't want to have that problem in business. I know you've never had that problem. But you never had it because when you first, where did you learn how to make ice cream? In the back of the room there?
If I made Clorox ice cream by mistake, just throw some chocolate chips in it.
Yes. Where's the drum?
I don't know if anybody can make Clorox ice cream or not know it.
Well,
The smell of them is
stranger things about it.
yeah, now that's good.
Yes.
So are there any ice cream conventions or trade shows or anything like that that they usually go on, any associations?
Okay, the questions are there any conventions or ice cream trade shows you go to? There's a very good organization called NICRA, which stands for National Ice Cream Retailers Association. National Ice Cream Retailers Association, NICRA. And they have a magazine that they put out. I think it's every other month or every month with a lot of good information. We have a convention once a year somewhere in the country. This year in November, it's always in November, first week of November, and it'll be in Reno, Nevada. Usually it's on the East Coast, but this year it'll be in Reno. And it's a great convention because people call up. I had a gentleman call from Canada yesterday, and he got quite angry at me because he wanted about 10 names of people he would go visit to find out my machine for anything. And I said, I don't give out names. You would really not like it if I gave out your name and 30 people a year were coming in and sort of saying, tell me about your business. How do you make it? What do you use? I want to copy you. You know, you throw them out and then you call me and be angry. So I don't give out your names to customers. Unless you become Haagen-Dazs or Ben & Jerry, and then I get out. But at this convention, these people who everything is so secret, they would never do what Jeff does. They would never tell you their ideas. They will spill their guts to tell you about how they make their ice cream at a convention. And I don't know if it's, you know, the little drinks with, you know, the umbrella in it. I think it's mainly because they're so proud of what they do. And so, although there's booths there and there's meetings, like an ice cream cone costs $3, how much should a banana split cost, you know, pricing, here we go. There's all that available, but the best stuff is during the coffee breaks and walking up to just any stranger and saying, you know, whose vanilla do you use, or how do you make this? And that is the value of that convention.
You could decorate this with some crushed hot pepper.
Yes. Okay. Here we go. I dare you. Come on up.
Wait, I'll let
Yeah? Yes, Jeff?
Yeah, just a small.
I think we solved the drip problem.
Thanks, guys.
Sometimes you don't see a nice girl.
Raspberry, it tastes like raspberry approach deodorant.
Is that the,
Like red pepper jelly. You ever had that?
Yeah.
He's like, I love red pepper.
An ice cream cup. That's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
hot.
got a kit. You can taste for it.
I got some. This won't appeal to chili heads, but it'll.
Where's our super entrepreneur? He's going to start selling Diet Pepsis. To grow you up. No. Well, that was the Italian ice. Sorbet and sugar, water, and fruit. Is no difference. I use all natural. I buy it. I bought those grapes. I buy bananas.
Sure about it. Turn it into vinaigrette.
Raspberries. I do everything all natural.
Dehydrated ground habanero dust. And make it's going to make a vinaigrette for the spinach salad. It's dynamite. And this is where it hits you right here. It doesn't burn you.
Right. There it is.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, it does taste like that. Like one cup of cream cheese. Yeah, that's what I just said. You can probably yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
You normally have it made at times. You don't notice like
with my flowers, I would candy some fresh habaneros.
Habaneros.
Cut them up and throw it in there.
That's the beauty of this. Everybody, even though it's the same base, everybody would do something different.
To this, huh? I think it would be a great idea.
So the tanginess reminds me of frozen yogurt.
Steve,
I love it.
it's good. We could use a little more.
So that's from the vinegar juice.
Good.
That's why I thought cheesecake would be good with it.
Raspberry habanero cheesecake.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
We don't know what pepper show is.
No, but I know that Jeff's not playing this. I was Farrah's husband, taking this and putting it in cheesecake.
I don't know, what do you think? What do you think? I think it needed more. Maybe even more.
Or maybe some raspberry preserve in there too.
Well, let's talk about the spicy though, what do you think?
Just enough heat. Middle of the road. You don't want to hurt people.
It's not bad. Here's the deal. I'm trying to make a list. Here's the deal. Remember, you have customers. Let's say you've got 100 customers a day. Is that fair? That's what would you like that, 100 customers a day? So you've got 100 customers a day, and you've got 20 flavors. That's fair, right? Pretty much across the board. So this is one of your 20 flavors, and you got 100 people coming in. How many are going to order this?
3, 2.
People that like spicy food. And a lot of
How
people like
many?
spicy.
I think it depends on where you're located in the country and your culture and
It
your.
depends where. If you're in a lot of Mexican people.
Southwest.
Yes.
To the
How about
Hot
a
sauce. I don't know about that. But the other thing is how you market it, because now with social media, you go out and hire a teenager, and you have started advertising on Thursday that you've got a brand new flavor on Saturday.
What's the
It's a reason.
teenager have to do with
Because you can't run a computer, and neither can I.
that?
So the teenager gets you on social media, and everybody rushes in to try the new flavor. So it's
It
got
is all
value
about
from that.
marketing. It's all about marketing.
I wouldn't keep it as a steady, but as for a unique flavor, and also like you said, in the territory, in the southwest part of the United States, it's going to sell much greater than just geriatric crowd.
Low blow. Low blow. You've never been there. You've never been there.
So that's it. We're through arguing for this trip, and thank you very much for coming.
Before we go, one last question. How many of you would consider making this? Yeah, I would too.
That's almost everybody.
Yeah, I would too. I would too. I'm gonna take
Thank you all for coming. Any questions that you have, just call us. Take a bow.
Steve,
Yes.
that was a curtsy.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, what's your point?
Right here. Yeah, everything is done through us at Emery Thompson. We don't go through dealers because we don't feel that they know enough.
You should take the factory. It's an eye-opener.
Yeah.
As simple as making ice cream is, that's how simple making these machines is. I mean, it's not simple, but the concept and the design of the machine, utterly simple.
So let's go do that. And Jeff, thank you very much. I'll see you in October.
October.
girl.